What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite YouTuber, Austin Holloman, and we are back again with another live stream. Give me one moment, my audio is not connected. And we are back again with another live stream today. And if you guys have not already, give the stream a like, subscribe if you have not already as well. And before we start the show, please make sure you vote Austin Holloman and even Floyd as well into the Passport Bros reality show that'll be in Santo Domingo this year. Uh, you guys know that we can't let the wrong people represent. I know I still got the tattoo. I know I denounced it, but no matter what, I'm tied to it forever, like a gang, basically. So no matter what, we have to make sure everything is represented properly. And your only friend, I'm your only friend. Remember that. I'm the only one that can do that the right way for you guys. So if you guys care about the image that we have abroad, you can hold me accountable. But make sure you go to this link and you vote for Austin. I'll give you guys 2 minutes to do it, and then we're going to get into today's topic. We have 3 other amazing guests. Let's Learn Spanish TV, Todd Allen, and Learn Crypto TV. I literally just thought of this today because I heard Andre say that his 100,000 is better than the United States. Well, the person that lives in the United States 100,000. I thought about it. I had some good blood flow this morning, so my brain was working properly. Finally, it was working. My brain was working, and I thought, oh, you know what? We also have better freedom, and we'll get into it today. Why I believe that is. It's the truth. But I'll get into it today why I believe that is. And if there's let me tell you this as well. Any trolling in the chat, I've had enough of that shit. I really have. That's why I'm switching up conversations that are not about women, because I don't want to talk about that all the time, and I'm tired of seeing stupid comments. So if you say something stupid in the chat, you will be blocked from now on. Just FYI. So let's go ahead and bring up our guest. Todd Allen dropped up. We'll wait for him to get back. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing?
All right. How you doing? I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
What's going on, brother?
Good to see you. So where is everybody at?
I am currently in Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic.
And you Crypto TV?
Soy in Cartagena.
In Cartagena. And Todd Allen is in Bogota, but he'll be back here in a second. So to keep it direct, do you believe that you have more freedom now that you've became an expat?
Well, I have less. What do you call? I have less. Yeah, yes. If you want a one word answer, hell yes. 2 words. Sorry, hell yes.
That's
Why you
why I
say that?
laugh. That's why I laugh, because that's the direct answer. Yes. Yes, definitely.
What is the main component that you say that makes you feel the most free now?
Well,
Peace.
yep. Peace of mind. I would say. Now, hear me clearly, because they're going to be trolls and they're going to say, oh, well, this Colombia has racism too. There's racism everywhere. I am not saying there is no racism in Colombia. What I am saying is racism doesn't affect me, and I'm not judged by the police, who we know in the United States most of the time, it's not a positive interaction when they see someone with the color of my skin and the police. Now, I had a manager at one time when I was a performer who was a police officer. I have friends who are police officers. I don't hate the police, but in general, we know that wherever you go, you're going to see people clenching their purses because of the color of your skin. Now, I don't experience that in Colombia. I have positive interactions with police officers. And I'm not saying there is no racism in Colombia, because someone's going to get up here and say, well, Colombian black people, listen, I get it. I'm not saying there's no racism in Colombia. Do I have peace? Do I feel more peace of mind? Do I feel more free? Yes, I do.
That's a good introduction. So what about you, Crypto TV? What's your
So
main component?
So yeah, my main component is like I was saying earlier, the peace of mind, and just I don't have to worry about looking over my shoulders everywhere I go. I'm from Tampa, Florida. That's where I'm from originally. Well, that's where I grew up. But in my city back in the States, it's a constant look over your shoulder type of situation that put me inside of a box living wise, to where I would only just work, go to the gym, and sleep. That's it. That's my routine. Or I got my best friend in life. I would go over his house to his family house, which is located in a not so great neighborhood, but that's the way I grew up, and that's where they still be at. So I would go over there. But now that I'm outside of that situation, I can live and be free. I'm more open to be myself, and just I can just be me. It's free. That's the biggest thing for me. I mean, of course, there's a few other reasons, but that component for me is the main reason. My peace of mind, and I can move freely and do what I want and don't have to worry about anything.
Okay, what about you, Todd? Do you feel like you have more freedom now that you're out in the expat?
Absolutely feel that, and I think there's statistics that actually prove that out as well. Like the other brothers were saying, and shout out to you guys. And again, thank you, Austin, for letting me be here on the show. Peace of mind. I think just peace in general, just the nature of the culture, the values of the culture allow you to be a little bit more relaxed. It's more of a family atmosphere, a family dynamic. It's all about community. And if you want to talk about racism is a term that people in North America obsess with. What I found is more nationalism, right? It's where you're from, as opposed to the color of your skin. Because if you look at the history of Colombia and many South Americans and Caribbean nations, every family's got some melanated person in their family somewhere in the tree. And so it becomes more of a nationalistic situation that I've found more than a colorism.
Okay, so let me ask y'all this. Do you feel like people in other countries have more political freedom than American citizens? It seems like all y'all in Colombia or in Latin America, I say. Do you feel like people in y'all's countries y'all at right now have more political freedom?
That's a good question. I'm gonna explain it like this, because actually to say if they have more political freedom, I would have to be partaking in the voting aspect of the country of Colombia. I'm gonna say it like this. In Colombia, they count every vote for presidency. In the United States, we have what we call electoral college. So we don't count every single vote. As you don't understand, one time Hillary Clinton, she won the popular vote but lost the presidency. So that means you can win all the majority of the votes and still lose your candidacy and still not become the candidate for that office. In Colombia, they count every single vote. So they have a democracy. We have a representative republic.
So let me ask you this. Does anybody on the panel have a second citizenship, or do y'all have the ability to vote in another country?
I'm working on that.
Yeah, I'm working on that as well.
I will have mine in about 2.5 years.
I'm about the same as you learn crypto, because it's a process. You have to have your visa first. You have to have your visa for, I think it was 3 years, and then you have to have it for another 5. So totally.
Well, in our situation, 3 years. Right. Others, they'll have to be 5, and it's on one visa type. So that means if you switching up, if you got a visitor, a tourist visa or a visitor visa, and then you switch up and go get the M visa, then that clock restarts. So that's the issue with that. So and I know that because I was in the situation. You know what I mean? But because I got the M visa, I still have minimal time. That I have to wait, not the whole 5 years.
Right. Right.
So do you think that if you chose to vote in the countries that you're living at now, that it would be just as fair as it is in the United States? Or do you think the corruption in Latin America would make it worse?
I'm not getting involved in any political situation.
Right.
It's not my country. You know what I'm saying? At my home country, should I say. While I enjoy, what Colombia has to offer for an expat, I don't see where it would be beneficial for me to even get involved in any political situation. You know, it's just I don't draw any interest. The only political type situation, if I wanted to get involved, I would like vote to get these streets in Cartagena cleaned up and fixed. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that, you know, that it'll affect me when I'm driving or something like this. But as far as like presidents and mayors and governors and all, I don't care nothing about none of that.
No, I agree. When it comes to politics, I mean, I've even deregistered the vote in the U.S. because, again, I mean, it's sort of like with Richard Pryor, none of the above, right? At this particular point in my life, at this stage in my life, I should say, I'm not really interested in politics. I'm more interested in quality of life. And if you look at, in terms of when you talk about freedom, if you look at the Global Freedom Index, the United States has a score of 83. And Colombia has a score of 70 when you're talking about global freedom. But what I say that to say this, that there are multiple countries that on the Global Freedom Index are well above the United States. There are multiple countries. If the United States out of 183 countries has a score of 83, then that just gives you an idea of, if 100 being the best, 83 is a B.
Yeah.
So if people talk about quote unquote, and they throw this term around, the greatest, like they're Muhammad Ali, it's the greatest country in the world. Well, it ain't number one in a whole lot of stuff. So that becomes very subjective. And like I said, for me, I'm looking more for quality of life as opposed to politics of life.
Birthrights. Do you believe that Americans are born with the most freedom at birth?
No. I mean, the Colombians have the same amount of freedom as we have in the United States. I mean, the advantage is that we're born to earn a US dollar, which holds more weight than the Colombian peso and the Brazilian reais. But I mean, again, that's about making money and working and selling your time for money and labor. I mean, if that's how you value your freedom, or you say, you're free or you got better rights because you can work for someone else's system and make them rich as you're a cog in a wheel. And hey, so I don't value my freedom as far as money is concerned. Now, I do acknowledge that a certain level of money will allow me a certain more opportunities than other opportunities. If I didn't have money to buy my ticket to come to this country, if I didn't have money to pay for my Airbnb, if I didn't have money to pay for my visa, then I wouldn't have that freedom to do that.
Yeah, I would say this. I can see it. I can see more freedom business-wise in Colombia than in the United States. For an example, just on the block that I live on right now, there's about maybe 4 or 5 corner stores that I literally can walk to within 3 or 4 minutes of all of them. And everybody's selling alcohol. Everybody's selling. Just on my block, I got a lady that right 2 to 3 doors down. She sell phone cards and sell print services or whatever out of her house. Then down the other way right there, got some people that sell ice out of it's blocks of ice, for 500 pesos or whatever the case may be. My point is that there's not a whole lot of regulatory issues that a person would have to go through, or red tape that they would have to cut down in order to be able to make a home business or, sell some type of goods or services for people to be able to have access to within Colombia. And I've seen that in every city that I've been in, per se, like in Florida, I know, or across the country, you need a liquor license. You know how much liquor licenses cost in America? You know what I'm saying? And that's just a way for the man, quote unquote, to be able to get money out of your pocket. You know what I'm saying? But here you don't need that. You can just go find a distributor, get you an open space, and start selling beer right out of there 100 miles an hour. So that is a freedom that people here in Colombia have, that they don't have to go through all the red tape to set up a business that people in America, they have to file with the state if they open up an LLC, and then they got to pay a fee for that. And then you got to turn around and pay a fee for this, and you got to pay a fee for that just to have a business in America. You don't have to do all that here in Colombia. So that is one freedom that I do know that Colombians have that Americans don't.
I would agree that the regulation, the regulations are a little bit are not as stringent in Colombia for certain things. That's for sure. But I want to address something too, that when people say that, you can earn better money in the U.S. than any other place in the world, You got to understand the United States is not the highest currency in the world. That if a person makes money, if that person makes euro, they're wealthier than a person that makes dollars.
Pounds.
So I mean, $1 is 93 cents in euro, or 93 cents in euro is equal to $1, which means that you have more purchasing power if you use euro. So when people make grandiose statements and they don't back it up with receipts, it's kind of disappointing. There is no one country that is the best, the absolute best in the world. It's your perspective. And when you talk about freedoms, what does it allow you to do versus how much regulation and red tape, such as Learn Crypto TV was talking about? If you have a society which eliminates red tape, which propagates entrepreneurship, like Learn Crypto said, there are many people here on the streets that they wake up at dark 30 in the morning, they go to bed at dark 30 at night, and they're selling coffee, they're selling bread, they're selling a whole lot of different stuff, as he said, 100 miles an hour. And you don't see that they have to have licenses for this or licenses for that. So there's a whole lot less regulation. But again, when you're talking about currencies, less regulation allows for greater freedom to participate in the economy.
Or an open market.
I would agree. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that?
Yeah, I have a question. Learn Crypto, when you have an account here in Colombia, doesn't that give you greater access to foreign markets when it comes to crypto?
Definitely. I have access to 3 different bank accounts. That would be in the Bancolombia BBVA here in Colombia. And they have now integrated crypto into their banking system. So that allows me to have, a lot larger reach. And just to go back to the point of what you was making about the euro, when I first moved here, when I was telling you guys about my different visa types, my first visa when I came here was a work visa, so I was working for a Colombian company that I was teaching English to adults in a Colombian company. They wasn't paying that much, but the visa was what I wanted, which was valuable. I ended up, because I'm an IT person, that's what I do. I'm literally on the clock right now. You know what I'm saying? Trying to exhaust these last 30 minutes. But anyhow, because I leveraged my intellectual property, I was able to find another job to supplement or make up what I didn't have or what I wanted to have while in Bogota, my first 2 years of living in Colombia, via a company in the Netherlands. So this company, I was a system administrator, and I worked for them from April of 2021 to April of 2023. And I basically built their IT department up from the ground up. They had nothing, and I helped them build it up, and I was appreciative for the opportunity because it allowed me to get more experience. And he paid me in euros. And those little 20 hours a week that I was working, which amounted to 80 hours in a month, turned into a $550 check. Right. That way it was equivalent to $550. When it hit my account, it was in pesos. So basically at that time, the peso was at 4,400, roughly 4,300 to $1 pesos to $1. And shucks, man. So it made up the difference. Right. So, and I was only working part-time. Right. So, being able to have different forms of currency outside of the United States will allow you to have a lot larger reach, and that will be crypto included.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me see, because I appreciate you thoroughly explaining it. So how do labor laws and workers' rights in Colombia and the DR compare to United States? But I guess for expats, but I guess y'all wouldn't be looking for jobs in the other countries. You're, like you said, you would just bring your own work.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
My goal is not to go to another man's country, even if I do get citizenship in that country and become a cog in his wheel. My goal is to be an entrepreneur and be independent. So to leverage my citizenship and my entrepreneurship, I earn dollars and euros and spend pesos. That's only simple math. I wouldn't go to another man's country whose fiat currency is weaker than mine and try to earn a living by labor. Anyone who wants to earn a living by labor don't have the mind thought to expand and try to get to other places, you know, especially if you're going to go to a place where you know their fiat currency is weaker than the fiat currency you came from. Now, I will say this: when I first came to Colombia and stayed long term, I did work for an institution which was a British institution teaching English. I learned Crypto TV, and hey, they only paid me. I was working part time, and I only got to about like $600 a month. So why would I accept a part time job making only $600 a month and getting paid in Colombian pesos? Number one, it gave me the chance, the opportunity, a visa to stay there for a long term, and number two, that part time job did not affect to what I do online now, and didn't interfere with, I should say, with what I do online now. And that part time job I had was enough to pay my rent. So I mean, to me, it was just like you know, somebody getting a part-time job, a side hustle, and hey, there it is. As long as it don't interrupt the flow that I got going on in my future plans, I did that.
So would you say that you gave up property, the ability to have property by moving outside, by becoming an expat? Because I know a lot of guys, I think they have less freedom when they go to Asia, because when you go to Asia, you really can't own anything there.
Well, that depends on the country. That's a good question. You know, I still have my U.S. citizenship. I'm not going to give up my citizenship unless I get citizenship in another country. It would be silly. It would be childish. And I learned a lot of knowledge. I'm a very intelligent man. It would be silly. It would be I'll be a peon to give up my citizenship until I got a citizenship with a country that gave me more opportunities. I mean, if you give up your citizenship, you got to think about this. You have no voice. I give up my citizenship on that minute. The government in any country I'm in can come and send me wherever they want to send me. They can't send me back to the US because remember, I gave up my citizenship. So if they want to keep me in jail, detained forever, they can do that. I will have no rights. I'm not going to give up my rights because the place I came from is not good for me and I go to another place. But, you know, that's how things work. Now, as far as property, it depends on the country you're in, because I know plenty of people who are from the U.S. expats and they purchased property in Colombia. Now you would have to do the research on the country that you're in. I know they have a lot of, for example, two countries I know about, Colombia and Ecuador and Brazil, 3 countries. They have a lot of programs and opportunities for foreigners or foreign investors to come and purchase property and own property because it helps with their economy. So you would have to do the research on that particular country. But there are countries you can own property in and be a foreigner. Definitely.
And that right there, for me, I still have 3.5 acres of land in Polk County, Florida. I was about to say it in Spanish. Close to Disney World. Is behind Disney. You know, the main laugh, because in my mind, being, you know, it just come out now. You know, the circa a la Disney. You know. But yeah, so why would I give up my citizenship in America, like Demain was saying? Why? You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting on 3.5 acres of land there. Some point, somebody, the highest bidder, gonna come over there trying to offer me the money to buy it, and at the right price, I will sell it. But you know, I was born there, so what am I giving it up for? And then we afforded all of these privileges as American citizens in these other countries, like he was saying with the land. Now I own a 1/2 acre of land here, I purchased a 1/2 acre land. I won't own it until I have the actual deed in my hand. And there are things that you have to know about the purchasing or buying process when you're getting ready to buy land. And I'm talking specific to Colombia, to the audience, because that's what I know. And I haven't attempted to purchase anything anywhere else in another country, should I say, outside of the United States. But in Colombia, you know, actually have 2 videos that I outline the process for purchasing land on my channel, because I try to give multiple, I try to give different perspectives in different arenas and not just crypto, because I know that's not what everybody, would want to do. So on one of these programs I have, I actually tell you what you should look for step by step, how to do it, what the process, who to talk to, because you got to deal with the notary office, because you got to go get stamps on documents, and in my case, because I have a spouse, then I will have to, she's involved now, and both our names, what we accumulate together, if ever we were to disband from each other, which that's not what, I'm not shooting for that, but if something like that happens, you know what I'm saying, the only thing that we would have to split up is what we acquired during the marriage. You know what I'm saying? That's why, that different documents with your name and all of that stuff on it, and dealing with the right. You need a real estate attorney in some cases for foreigners, because you'll be dealing with a realtor that will jack up the price. You're going to get foreign tax, you know, because they know you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just different little small things that people have to know in order to be able to, you know, purchase land in whatever country it is that they're in. So, you know, just be mindful of that when you know, if that's one of your goals when you're trying to move, if you're trying to move out the country.
Yeah. Yeah. We bought property as well recently. And as Crypto said, you know, it's not ours till you have the deed. But I will tell you this, the affordability of buying the land is is mind-boggling. You know, if I told you the price, you'd think I was lying.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because
Right.
a lot of them gonna come down here then.
Right, and then that jacked the price up. Yeah,
Right.
It is, again, at my stage of life, I'm talking about quality of life. And if you're talking about quality of life and then buying real estate, it becomes very, very profitable. It becomes profitable because, again, you're not paying. There are extranjero prices. Okay, there are foreign prices, but if you buy it right, as Crypto was saying, you will find it's going to be very affordable, and especially for expats, especially for those who are bringing in either euro or bringing in as Learn Spanish TV said, if you're bringing in a fiat currency that has a higher value, your purchasing power increases. But you have to be smart with it. I mean, it's not the wild west where, you know, or it's not the like the 49ers where you just throw something in water and come out with gold. You really have to search it. You really have to be careful, because there are a lot of people out here who will scam you, right? So you do have to be on your P's and Q's, and you have to be smart, just like anywhere else. You have to keep your head on a swivel, and you have to keep your mind about you. But if you're able to buy, you know, location. I know that Learn Crypto is down there in I know where he's at. That's a spot where a lot of tourists want to come to. So, I mean, if he bought raw land and if he does something with it, he's going to have an Airbnb that he can lease out, right? And people will pay quality dollars to be there. I mean, said dollars or euro to be where he's at. So, I mean, that's a smart move. And so, you know, I think there is a lot more opportunity because of the cost of living and the quality of life in some places abroad than there might be in some people's hometown. Like if you're living in Florida, the prices of real estate is very high, and the prices it omits a lot of people from participating.
Well,
And I'll tell you this, basically,
ahead.
just to back up what he just said. This is I used it, like I said, this is the keyword for the audience: intellectual property. Okay, you know, this is an intelligent conversation. I use my intellectual property looking in the future, where my wife and I purchased our land is going to be located in the area where they're building the airport for Cartagena now, because they're going to move that little airport where they are now, and they're moving it out. So it's going to, for an example, you know how you fly into Medellin and then you have to ride another 45 minutes to get to the actual city of Medellin, right? That's exactly how it's going to be in the next 4 or 5 years when you come into Cartagena. You're flying to I'm not going to tell y'all the area because you need to go check my channel out if you want to know. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're flying to that area, and then you'll have to ride 45 minutes or a minimum of 40 minutes to get into Cartagena. And most of it takes 40, 50 minutes to an hour because of how traffic is here. And a lot of you guys are going to go to Boca Grande and El Laguito. So that's going to be there. And guess what? I'm also going to be working on transportation for you guys too. So I'm going to have that as well. So once that get taken care of, I get me a fleet. Well, I don't need a fleet, couple of vehicles, so I can ride you guys, because y'all will trust the American to take y'all where y'all need to go, especially if you're American. And I'm going to do you right. See, this is how I was thinking before purchasing anything. You could buy it anywhere. But what they say in when you buying real estate in America, what is it about? Location.
Yeah. That's right. When you go into Medellin, you do have to catch you fly near Medellin, but you got to take a bus or some sort of flota to get to Medellin, and that's depending on traffic. It's a long ride.
So let me ask you guys this: because you feel like you have the same property owning rights, just as you would in the United States, what about protecting your property with gun ownership? How is gun ownership in Colombia and the DR?
Let me chime in on this one. I won't be too long because I just recently had a situation, you know, because I'm one of those guys, you know what I'm saying? In Tampa, you're not gonna never catch, if I'm in the America and you in my city, you're not gonna catch me without my weapon at all, nowhere, under any circumstance. I always have it. Now, the governor DeSantis, he made it the way you don't even have to have a concealed weapon. Like I can walk around with it, open carry, you know what I'm saying? Well, not open carry, but I could carry it without a license. You know what I'm saying? In Florida. So so that mentality came here to Colombia, right? My wife, she's going to graduate in July from with her degree in basically equivalent of criminal justice, but we have a contact down at the Fiscalia, which is the prosecutor's office here in Colombia, right? So I'm walking for about until this situation occurred. I used to have when I'm in Cartagena, I used to have it with me all the time. And, you know, this one particular time I had it with me and I didn't have the documents had expired on it. And I didn't know, I wasn't aware, I wasn't keeping up with it because it was actually in my wife's name, you know? And so these cops just randomly wanted to pull us over, you know, and I was on a moto, you know, and y'all hear about the moto stories. So they see a gringo on the moto and now they want to pull me over. And then they started searching me. Right. And when they went in my little bag where I had it, it was. So anyway, longer the short is I had to go through a legal process, you know, and I had to, you know, get my contact involved. So it turned into a confiscation, but it literally could have been a deportation.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have your documents together here first of all, the citizens can't walk around with weapons in Colombia.
Correct.
So if there's a Colombian or Colombiana with a weapon, more than likely they're working for somebody, cartel or underworld type of situation. You know what I'm saying? That is fact, okay? Because the regular citizen does not have it. Only private security guards, police officers, some taxis have them because, you know, the line of work they're in, they always getting robbed. So the people with the good name and good document, you might get in a taxi and the dude might have it. You won't even never know it, but he got his documents with him. You know, I've been in several taxis where the guys had it with them, you know? So, and those are really the main industries where you would see somebody with a weapon. So, you know, but in Colombia, they do allow foreigners to have them, but you got to have your documents in order and you can't have nothing black on your name, you know? And if you do, you ain't gonna have no weapon. You just gonna have to get you a little taser or something off the street. So, you know, they in that form of documentation or regulation is stringent. Much like a liquor license would be equivalent to getting a liquor license in America. You got to have everything in order for the gun. And I've experienced that myself on the wrong side of it. You see what I'm saying? I literally could have been out the country, but because I've got a contact, I was able to wiggle out of that situation, but I had to learn the hard way. But now I know when I go back down to go take care of this, because I don't have any smut on my name down here, nothing like that. My documents need to be in order and they need to be, I think you have to have it renewed every so often. I think because that's what happened with my wife's documents and why it expired. So
yeah, you have to have it renewed, and ex-military are allowed to carry weapons as well.
Yeah.
But let me be clear. When we say weapon, we're talking about firearm.
Yes. Okay.
Because there are other weapons that you can carry, right? So we're talking about firearms. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Well, don't you think that it might be better for an expat most expats should just move somewhere where they don't feel the need to have a firearm?
Well, I think that's what Crypto was saying. I mean, the only people that have the weapons here are the ones that are underworld anyway, right?
Yeah.
The majority of people here don't. The majority of people, let's say in England, don't, right? Even the police don't carry weapons, right? They'll carry a nightstick or something like that. So a lot of it I think it's the culture. In North America, it is a very combative culture. I mean, when you look at the United States, it's the only country in the world that dropped not one, but 2 atomic bombs. So when you talk about the level of violence that takes place on the street, right? I was talking to Love Crossing Borders, Andre, and he mentioned something in his show yesterday that just floored me. He said at least 600 young people a year are deleted in schools. That doesn't, you don't hear that here in South America. You don't hear that in other parts. The only country that you hear a lot of that is North America. So when you talk about safety, I mean, where I am, I feel safer here than I do in Cleveland and Detroit.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
for
this
me-
as far as that is concerned. Yeah, I was gonna say
Go ahead,
this as far as that is concerned. Ever since I was 21 in the United States, legally able to carry a firearms, I carried a firearm ever since I was 21. It's a long time ago. I ain't gonna tell you how old I am. However, I always have my paperwork to legally carry a few firearms. I carried my firearms. I've never used it once. And I said, what am I doing this for? Is it because I believe the hype? Is it because I was brainwashed into thinking I need to carry a gun to protect myself? I've never gotten into a conversation I've been carrying a gun in the United States for over 20 years, and I've never gotten into a conversation where I needed to carry it. I said to myself, I'm not going to ever move to a place that I'm going to need to feel as though I'm going to have the need to carry a firearm to protect my property or protect my self. So I'm in Colombia. I keep myself. I'm always vigilant, but I don't feel the need to carry a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even trying to get a firearm. When I left the United States officially, I sold all my firearms. And when I go back, I don't carry a firearm.
See, I see it a bit different from both of these distinguished gentlemen. They're a bit older than I am, not that much older, but they're a bit older than I am. But I don't. But I don't see it that way. You see what I'm saying? Like I told y'all, you're not gonna catch me without it in America, and that mentality just came here. You know, I mean, I know I'm in Colombia. And I know it's safer here. You know, I don't have to worry about walking around at Aro, Olympico, or Mega Tiendas and having to worry about some crazy loony coming in there having a bad day and want to take his pressure out on everybody else. I don't have to worry about that here. You see what I'm saying? Walking in the mall they close at 9, 10 o'clock at night. I just don't have to worry about that here. But the mentality that I have grown up with from how I grew up, it just hasn't left me. I have to protect my family. I have to protect me because if I'm not here, my family can't eat, you know? So for me, I just see it different, you know, and I'm not knocking nobody who thinks the opposite of me. You know, this is just the way that I move, you know what I'm saying? And how I do. I'm certainly not looking to use it. I'm not going to create a situation to try to use it, but I will protect myself. That is fact. You know,
it's like life insurance, right? It's like, you know,
exactly.
you don't want to use the life insurance, but it's there just in case you need it, right?
Exactly.
No, and I get that, and you know, when I first came here, that was a question that I had because, you know, you just never know. You just never know. And there was a situation one time here. My wife and I, we were on the second floor of a panaderia, of a bread shop. We were having breakfast and we were looking out into the square, and there were two guys who were on a motorcycle, and they stole the motorcycle. And when the guy was riding off, he had a 9mm. Now he wasn't firing the 9mm because you would actually see somebody firing the weapon in the US, but he just had it just to show it. And one of the persons who saw it had an umbrella and tried to hit the driver with an umbrella. Now I thought to myself, man, that's awfully stupid because he could get deleted doing that. But that's the mindset of the people that I've seen here, is that if they see somebody that does something that's not right, that they're stealing something, then the whole community is going to be involved. You know, other places, oh, I'm not involved. I didn't see nothing. I ain't snitching. Here they telling.
Yeah,
they fighting and cutting and everything else too.
Yeah, so I got a quick story about that. What you just said, the whole community getting involved. I was at the park one day. This was when I was living in Cúcuta, Colombia, and there was this lady. She got off the bus and she was hollering "Ladrón, ladrón, ladrón," and the guy had robbed her cell phone. He was running down the street, and he tried to run and get on some sidewalk, and you just see a bunch of people mobbing. I mean, they call it mob justice or they call it vigilante justice, but hey, sometimes that stuff works. Yeah, it's a good thing the police got there when they did, because they were going to beat him to half to death.
But we've seen videos. Let's learn Spanish, where the police is dragging the culprit, and the crowd is still whooping it on his head. You know what I'm saying? And the police are not doing anything but letting them do it until they get it. And then I see videos where they got them handcuffed and then they just throw them like a rag doll in the back of the truck. You know what I'm saying? They don't care how they get it, as long as and then right on off. You know what I'm saying? That's how they do stuff here. And I like that. I like that.
Too.
And they're taking pictures.
I do too.
And they're taking pictures, right? They got the people lined up and they're taking pictures. Cop right beside them and they're taking pictures. And the people here will stomp a mud hole in a person if they catch a mud hole. But you don't see that so much. I mean, you don't see that so much in the U.S., right? You see a person that might try to defend a person in transportation or something. The next thing you know, that person's being brought up on charges for something.
So let me read a couple of these super chats. Kings and Dreams sent $5 for my guys. Thank you for the super chat. He says he also loves these types of talks. I do as well. It's very helpful to a lot of people. And Travel Lovers sent $5 for overall. Today, the United States is still the best country with the best chance of making the most money in comparison to any other country, hence having the most wealth. So I actually saw this super chat. The wealthiest country, according to right now in 2024, is actually Luxembourg, which is actually a city-state with approximately a GDP of $143,742 at a 645,000 population, while the United States has 341.96 million people with a GDP of 85,372. So I'm going to have to disagree with you on being the wealthiest country. We're the wealthiest in debt.
I'm going to say this. Yeah, it says the best chance, but I mean, of course, there's a chance. There's a chance you could hit the lottery. I'm not saying don't go to the United States, don't be in the United States and try to make a come up. But what I'm saying is this: there's always a chance. But if you look at the statistics, only 18% of American families make over 100K or more. 18%. So that probability doesn't add up to me to a good chance or whatever. I mean, I was fortunate at one point in time to be one of the 18% and being black. So hey, I'm gonna put it out there. However, like I said, I don't measure my best life, my best quality of life as far as how much money I can make.
Man, I don't believe most of these people that be hollering they make six. I don't be believing that anyway. The most money I ever made in my life was $84,000, and that was 1 year. You know what I'm saying? On average, since I've had a career over 20 years, on average, the most the money I've made is 53, 55, up in that range. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm in IT, and I had a previous career teaching and education. So all these people running around here talking about something they make 100,000 and all that, I think they're lying, or what Tampa has invented, the word capping. Okay, because we started that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, you know what I mean? I think it's all cap when these people running around. I make 100,000. No, you don't. You know what I'm saying? You don't make you probably made it 1 year and that was it. So all that talk about America making the most money and all that, whatever. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It's look like that on paper. That's just like the Cowboys. They look good on paper every year.
So let me ask you this: as a expat, do you feel you have the equal access to financial services such as loans like you did in the United States?
I do. And then but it's your setup though. You know what I'm saying? How you is in the company. I got 2 open lines of credit right now. The only reason why I got them is to build my credit here in Colombia. So yeah, but it's going to be dependent upon your setup. It ain't like you're not going to be on no tourist visa getting no open line of credit. You're not going to be, you know what I'm saying, all them student visas and work visas. Well, you get a work visa and get a line of credit. Work visas, married visas, and investment visas here in Colombia, you'll be able to open yourself up to that opportunity.
Yeah, I think that when you talk about living abroad and not living in the U.S., you have access to capital markets worldwide. If you look at the banking system, the United States does not have the #1 banks in the world. The #1 banks in the world are usually in Asia, and they're also in Europe. Asia, Europe. When you're talking about someone's income, it's not always what you make is what you keep. Well, you have to remember that there are 3 tax systems in the United States. There's state, local, and federal. And so when they lower federal taxes, they increase state and local and vice versa. And so when you're looking at a person's income, you have to look at the graduated tax rate. So the graduated tax rate could be 39%, right? Or up to 42%. So it really depends. If you make $100,000 and then what you bring home is going to be a lot less than that. Then you also have to look at medical insurance. Let's take a look at when you get your W-2, they're taking out medical insurance. If you work for a union, they're taking out union dues. Then you're going to have state taxes, local taxes, all these different taxes. Everybody's got their hand in your pocket. And then you got
your 401k that you're trying to build.
And the 401k that you're trying to build. Not only that, if you take a look at when you go buy gas, now you're paying tax on paying the tax on the gasoline that you get. So they're taxing you every which way. If you are a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen and you're living abroad, if you make income elsewhere, they're going to tax you unless, as Learn Crypto said, you're set up correctly. So the idea is that for other countries, when you live abroad from other countries, depending upon the tax treaty, you may or may not have to pay taxes in your home country. But within the United States, it doesn't matter where you are. It's
an uneven system. Hey, you guys are familiar with this, right? Y'all know what this is. Y'all seen this before?
The cell phone?
No. What's on the cell phone, Ty? Come on now. This is Neki.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you see my name there in the corner. This form, this is the Colombia's form of Cash App, right? But you can do pretty much anything on this thing, right? So literally Monday, they sent me a text message and they said, "Oh, we offer you to sign up for 9 million pesos, basically $2,500 of a line of credit on Neki." You know what I'm saying? This will be the third line of credit if I choose to take it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. But if I choose to take it, this will be the third line of credit here in Colombia. And this here is on what their version of Cash App is, right? You know what I'm saying? But again, like Todd just said, and what I reiterated earlier, you have to be set up here in these countries like that. You know what I'm saying? To be able to do this. You know, so if you don't come down here trying to do things the proper way, you will never be able to experience none of this stuff right here, ever.
And again, this is coming down living long term. This ain't coming down for a few weeks out of the year or a few days out of the month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And their credit system abroad is pretty much the same. When you look at Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, a lot of those countries are in Canada. Those companies run out of Canada. And so not all of them. I know I think Experian is a Canadian country, but they manage the credit. They're not credit bureaus. Let me just say this. They manage the credit reporting agencies globally. Okay. A lot of people say that they're credit bureaus. There's only one credit bureau in the United States, and it ain't Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They basically report, but they're not bureaus. I just want to make that clear. So when you're managing credit and operating in debt, your setup is very, very important. Whether you use an EIN number or you use your social security number makes a big difference.
Yeah. So experience in Bogota.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I applied for an IT job there. That's how I know.
So does moving abroad affect your retirement or pension?
Nope.
No, not in the U.S. No, it can affect it if you use currency arbitrage. Yes, it can affect it because then if you deposit more into it, it's going to grow faster or grow more.
Mr. Allen, you know these Negroes ain't doing that. They don't even know about that.
So, Crypto TV.
I
want to know why you call me Mister. We friends. Come on, man.
And I'm trying to be, intelligent today.
Crypto TV. I know that you're married. So, how do you think you gain more freedom by getting married in Colombia?
Yes.
How is that?
Yes, I'm afforded more freedom because I'm now considered. In most cases, I'm considered a Colombiano here. So because I'm attached to a Colombian woman, what she is eligible to receive, I'm an extension of that. So for an example, we went basically pricing cars, just to get an idea. Because I was recently, they told me I'm eligible to get 55 million peso loan for a car. They told her she gets a bit more, 72, but she's a Colombian, you know what I'm saying? So, but I'm married, 55, okay. And plus I can show my job statements and stuff like that. So that's what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? As an extension, my credit line ain't as much as hers, but I still got a credit line to get a car if I wanted to use it. You know what I'm saying? That is the type of freedom that I get as a married man, as opposed to being a single man here, where I probably could get that same type of loan. Probably wouldn't be as much, but I could get one because I do know a brother here who has a car and he is single and he paid for it with the loan from it. Well, he used a little loan from a bank, but the rest of it was cash out of pocket. And a lot of times that's probably what it will be. And they will go to the bank and make up the difference if you need that help like that. Same thing when purchasing real estate, as a single man versus a married man, the rates are going to basically what I'm saying, the rates going to be different.
Well, what I'm asking you is like the family laws, marriage laws, divorce laws, child custody. Is that better in Colombia?
Yeah, because I don't have to worry about a no-fault divorce because she just can't say, I'm tired of you and I want to divorce you. You know what I'm saying? I got to be there to do it. So I literally can hold her by her quote unquote balls and say, I ain't divorcing you. I ain't getting no divorce, and be somewhere else for however long I want to be. Because both of us got to be there to go through it. She just can't go down there and do what women in America do. It don't work like that here. And I'm just talking in specifics of divorce, which I don't like talking about that because when you speak in that way, you know what I mean? You kind of bringing up something, you kind of asking for something that you probably don't want. So, but this is the reality of the conversation. So that type of thing, I don't have to worry about. Child support. If I had a child with her, they have a child support system here, but the max money you're going to pay is like $60, $75 a month. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all piss on that every time you come down here. You know what I'm saying? You ain't worried about that. You know what I'm saying? So if I wanted to make 10 babies out here, I could take care of all of them. You know what I'm saying? Because I had you know what I mean? And, I've adopted my 2 teenagers here. I got 2 teenagers. My son, he'll be 18 in October. And my daughter, she just turned 16 last weekend. And, and I chose because I got 2 grown adults in America, a 22-year-old, a 21-year-old and a 20-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So that I chose it because I've already been there and done that already. And plus, again, it's nothing to take care of kids here. So a lot of people be like, I don't want to deal with a woman with kids and I don't want to deal with that. Well, sometimes it may be advantageous for you to do that because I tell you this, a lot of the stuff that I've learned here and being able to do here where I live at here, all the experiences I've had, I don't think I would have had them in the short amount of the time that I was able to acquire that experience without my wife. We've been together for 5 years, you know what I'm saying? And we just made it to 1 year on June 9th, married. So I had 4 years with her before we even got married, you know what I'm saying? But she taught me a whole lot of stuff that I just wouldn't have not known or learned on my own. It's just like that. So, you know what I'm saying? And then because she has the experience of living as an adult for the better part of 15 years of her life, she ran into a lot of stuff where she had to learn trial by error. Hell, she couldn't learn from her mama. Mama had 15 kids. She 14 or 15. You know what I'm saying? So she had to learn a lot of stuff on her own. And I was a direct benefactor of that. And because of my intellectual property and me being able to understand a lot and pick up a lot what people put down, you know what I'm saying? I was able to make it work for my situation. But my scenario is an anomaly. I wouldn't suggest a lot of people do what I did, because a lot of people not built that way. But it can be done. But those are some of the things that I see as far as freedom being married versus being single.
When people talk about best, and better, it really is subjective, and it depends upon the person's situation. And there's a lot of times all we're doing here is just giving people options, right? People can just give options so they can make better choices and decisions for themselves. We're not telling people that this is better and this is what you need to do and that America sucks and all that stuff. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just simply saying that it's important that you only have this one go round in this existence. And so you need to make the best choices and decisions for yourself. One of the things that I like about South America in particular, in general, in Colombia in particular, is that the divorce rate is 8% or lower. Whereas if you look in the United States, it's 65% or higher, 70%. And so when you're talking about probabilities of success, you have to take that into account. Now, everybody thinks that they can beat the probabilities. I get it. But you want to put yourself in the best position that you can have the quality of life that you want. Now, if people want to stay in the United States and experience what they experience in the United States and they're happy with that, that's fine. God bless them. I don't have a heaven or hell to put anybody in, right? But I know that what's best for me and my house, it is best to go where we feel appreciated and to go where we can have a higher standard, a higher quality of life. That may not always be Colombia. That may be some other country. But one thing that wealthy people do that others don't is that they vote with their feet. That if they don't like a situation or they don't like something that's going on, they have the wherewithal, they have the means to move. And a lot of people who don't have those means, they get stuck. They get stuck in gentrified neighborhoods. They get stuck with lower quality of life, that their neighborhoods are crumbling around them, their school systems are falling around them, and they can't move somewhere else. One of the things I like here is that my stepson goes to a private school and the cost is $60 a month. Now, people can make decisions what they want. They can say whatever it is that they want. But at the end of the day, they're going to be responsible for their life because no one else is responsible for your life but you.
That's the exact fact, because one of my favorite quotes is everybody be concerned about or a lot of people be concerned about what other people be doing and whatever. Listen, when it's time for you to go give an account to your maker, the Most High is not going to be asking me about what Todd did in his life or asking me about what Demain did in his life. It's only going to be about me. So I'm standing in front of there. Well, Austin did this and he was in Brazil, and why you ain't do that to him? The Most High ain't gonna be concerned about that because he's gonna be dealing with Austin when it come time to deal with Austin. Right. Likewise with Carlos, he's gonna be dealing with Carlos only. So that's what people need to understand that.
Right. I didn't trigger you, did I?
Oh no.
I mean, I love when you get on the road, brother.
Do you guys feel that the countries you moved to, or do you feel the United States has more invasion of your privacy, or where you're at now?
That's a good question. That is an excellent question. I mean, because if you think about it, some of the things that you would consider invasion of privacy, like using Facebook and YouTube and other apps like that, are here in Colombia as well, and in Dominican Republic. Let's see, more invasion. No, I would say no. This is not, you got to understand, outside the United States, there are other democratic countries. And this is not, I'm not in Cuba. I'm not in Venezuela. I'm not in, I'm not in Russia. I'm not in even, I'm not in Iran. There are hundreds of other countries with freedoms and privacy, government respects privacy, like the United States, or better. So I would say no.
What about y'all in Colombia? Do y'all feel, do they have stricter laws? Because I know some laws in here in Brazil are a little different than they are in the States when it comes to privacy. For example, if you take a picture of yourself and somebody just so happens to be in the background, they have the same rights to that photo as you.
Honestly, I don't know. I would have to investigate that. I don't think so. I would say I don't particularly believe so.
Yeah, I haven't investigated the law as it relates to that in particular, but I know that in terms of what people do in the privacy of their own home, or what they do, as long as it doesn't impact other people, I think for the most part people are okay with it. As long as you don't gore my ox, you can do pretty much what you want to do. I mean, in the park, in the park, sometimes you see people walking around and they are imbibing in recreational drugs. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say something about that.
Yeah, and nobody bats an eye about it. I was with a friend of mine. I was with a friend of mine, and we were walking in the street, one of the streets here, and we walked by a shop, and I didn't know what it was, and they said, "Hey man, didn't you see that?" And so we walked right in the shop, and it was they were selling marijuana. It's just right on the street. So it wasn't even like in most places, they hide it or whatever, but this is just right out in the open. Everybody's just walking by it. You just walk right in there, and there you go.
Wow. Well, I've seen that in Brazil as well. So I know in the United States, if let's say somebody runs off with your money for some land you bought, they can't really get away with that in the States because we have a legal system that actually works. But I know here in Brazil, if you want to sue somebody, you might as well forget about it. Even if you're a local, you might as well forget about it, especially being a foreign. So do you guys feel like you gave up some legal rights when it comes to lawsuits or criminal court by being an expat?
No, if you have a deed and you have some title to show that it's your property, no, you don't. I mean, I got into a situation, unfortunate situation one time with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and it wasn't like, when the police came, they just automatically threw the cuffs on me and took me to jail. I mean, they told me specifically, well, we don't lock you up or we don't arrest you unless we actually see you in the event of the crime. So, between me and her, she couldn't just say, well, he did this, he did that, and then they just say and take me away. It doesn't work like that in Colombia.
So you gained some rights then, because in the United States, you don't even have to know where she can get you put in jail.
Well, if you look at it like that, yes, I gained some rights.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when we talk about rights, I think it's important to realize that every country has different laws and rules and regulations. Now, when we talk about rights in the United States, we're talking about constitutional rights. We're talking about, it's based upon European law as opposed to Colombia, maybe Roman law. And so the types of legal systems that the countries are engaged in will depend upon whether or not someone has rights. Now, I do know that here they recognize both a legal entity, such as a business, or a natural born person. Now, you don't hear the term natural born person in the United States. You're always talking about a person's ens legis, which is their fictitious entity, all caps. So the difference here is when you set up a business, it has to be a living person that has to set the business up, not necessarily a fictitious entity that has a business set up. It has to be you as a living man. And so you as a living man you have different rights in other places than you do in the US. I hope that makes sense without going in the weeds.
I get that. So consumer freedom, you would say, is the same. You're not restricted. You haven't given up any consumer rights. Because there's some places around the world, I guess maybe like China or North Korea, which nobody's going to North Korea, but China or even Saudi Arabia. I spoke to another Black American that's now living in Saudi Arabia, and I know he gave up some consumer rights and he can't purchase the same things he could in the States. Is it like in the DR Colombia for you guys?
No, I mean, in Colombia, you could purchase whatever you want to purchase, unfortunately, if you have the money for it. Because there's some shit that there's some stuff that I wouldn't recommend nobody purchasing, but they do. And there's no law that says they can't. I'm like, yo, keep that delinquency in another place. But yeah, no.
Well, there are consumer laws, right? That one of the consumer laws is, let's just say, for instance, you go and you have some service done. You say you get your brakes done in your car and your brakes go out. Well, of course, the consumer laws here will protect you that you can go back and you can get your money back, you can get the car fixed, and then you can get some extra money, right? Because the consumer protective laws here protect the natural person. That happens. Now, it's simple. It ain't always easy because, attorneys here, they're different than attorneys in the US. They're just different, and their laws are a little bit more complicated, and their legal system is a little bit different. I don't know why. It takes a little bit longer for process to go. I know why, because a lot of processes are done by hand and they're done with paper, not done electronically.
Right.
And you go, everything has to go through a notary, right? And so when you go to the notary office, the line is, you think they're buying the new Jordans or something. I mean, the lines are long, and everything is done with paper and pencil.
Yeah, I tell you this, that you brought up the point about the consumer protection laws. For an example, in America, the when you renting property, right, the landlord has the upper hand in the situation. Well, in Colombia, it's the other way around. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if the landlord want to evict you, a person literally can stay after receiving the eviction notice a whole year, 6 months after the fact.
Yeah.
In that same apartment, you know what I'm saying? And the landlord, the person who owns that property, can't do nothing about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can complain, they can do all you people in Colombia got their ways to get people up out of their property, but you know what I mean? The law ain't gonna get involved with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
They'll sit there and it's like a squatter type of situation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I was saying I had a student of mine who owns property, and he does Airbnb, and he does private renting. And he was telling me a story one time when the person was supposed to get evicted, and it said it took him about 8 months for him to finally get evicted. And in that 8-month period, they didn't have to pay anything. I was like, dang.
So you do gain that. Shout out to Big Boss. I see you. But you do gain that, situation down here. So like, I don't know if it'll necessarily work for a foreigner. So to go back to what you were saying earlier, Austin, one of the things that me being married to a Colombiana, I would get that, because me personally, my wife's name on everything. I don't need my name is on the land we purchased, all the serious stuff. That's what my name at. All that other stuff, man, I don't care nothing about all that, because me, in my mind, I could walk if we were no longer together. What I've invested in this situation, I can walk away from it and be okay, because I know that I will be leaving the situation better than it was when I came, and I can get all that back because I'm a hustler anyway. So I'm gonna get it back. You know what I'm saying? So I don't need to have my name on every single solitary thing. So when we go rent, I want my wife's name on it. Now because I've already have two what do you call them? Two landlords that I could call for references. I already have that. Both of them in Bogota. They both contact Edward and Laura. I got both of them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't need to be. And then I've been with my wife. I've been paying for rent here since 2020, October 2020, 4 years. Our landlord lives right next door. Why? Because she owned the whole quadplex. She owned it. You know what I'm saying? So my name don't got to be on the paperwork, but she know who paid the rent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if she decided to say, for whatever reason, y'all need to go, we could sit in here for a whole nother year and she can't move us up out of here. You know what I'm saying? So, I do get that as a, freedom, however you worded it, by having, being married to a Colombian,
Let me ask you one more question before you go, Todd. Big Boss Real Talk says, shout out to Austin Hartman for having Let's Learn Spanish TV, Learn Crypto TV on the panel. Both good, solid brothers teaching valuable information brothers can use. Subscribe to both of their channels. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Want to be Mystic, send $20 for now. This is true passport content. Thank you for bringing these enlightened gentlemen on your channel. Why don't these guys think about de-dollarization, and what moves should American men make as the dollar loses its power?
Wow. I think that's a great question. And I know Learn Crypto has some thoughts on this too. But again, what happened 2 weeks ago was major. And I think a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people missed it. I'm just assuming that a lot of people missed it. The contract with Saudi Arabia and selling oil using US dollars, that contract has diminished. That contract is gone. And Saudi Arabia has decided not to renew the contract, saying that they're going to sell oil using dollars. So the petrodollar, which is one of the biggest things in the world, is no longer. Now, what does that mean for the US dollar? Since the US dollar is no longer the reserve currency of the world, the dollar is going to depreciate. The value of the dollar is not going to be as it is currently. And this is my prediction. Why? Because other countries don't have to have dollars to buy oil. So what does that mean? if Brazil wants to buy oil, they could use whatever currency that Saudi Arabia decides that they're going to accept. And since Saudi Arabia is going to be one of the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China countries, they're going to probably use that currency. So what will happen to that currency? Now, if the United States wants to buy oil from someone, they're going to have to buy that currency in order to buy that oil. So the other currency is going to appreciate versus the US dollar. If you're living in the United States and the dollar depreciates, your quality of life is going to diminish. Why? Because inflation will go up, prices are going to go up, and you're going to need more dollars in order to maintain a certain standard of living. That's just a fact. It has happened with every major country in the world. Spain was a world power at one time, no longer. Portugal was a world power at one time, no longer. Great Britain was a world power at one time, no longer. Every country goes through these ebbs and flows. And so if we're not prepared for the devaluation of the dollar, and it's already happened with the current inflation, if you're not prepared, you're going to suffer. And so by having other options, by looking to be able to live abroad, this just gives you greater opportunity to maintain a certain quality of life.
Crypto TV, did you want to add a comment to that? I think he walked away. Okay. Well, we'll let him come back to that one because I know he's the finance guy. But you're an economist too, so yeah, I forgot. I don't know why I thought you were a lawyer. You just said you were an economist yesterday.
That's because I talk about contract. And your person says, please inform yourself before making public announcements. There's no such thing as a contract. Okay. All right, got you.
Who said that?
GLSVT store. There's no such thing as a contract. Got you. United States is a corporation that's all based on contracts.
Yeah. Yeah. So has everybody on the panel's taxes have been reduced? You feel like you've gained more tax freedom and more opportunities to save taxes? I know we already talked about this a lot, Todd, but for the other two guests.
Well, I'm not going to talk too much about my tax situation because I don't know who's listening, but I will say this. Just like with a barber, there's actual income and there's reported income. Now, the government wants to tax all of your income, and there are ways that the government will not be able to tax all of your income or verify your income. So I'm going to say it like that. It's very beneficial for me. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, and Los?
You can repeat the question? I was talking to my wife.
Would you say that you gain more tax freedom, or you've been able to save taxes by leaving the United States?
You know what? I don't really know. I haven't really paid attention. I would think that it would be less, but I know Colombians get taxed a whole lot here, 19% or something like this, but I don't really feel it. You know what I'm saying? Because I make USD, so I can't really say. I don't know. It may be equivalent. It may be a little less. I can't really give you a definitive answer on that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think you feel it less when you gain a fiat currency and it has a greater value than where you live. You're basically living on discounted dollars. I mean, as I said before, I'm in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that I use as an office, and it's $210 a month. Now, when the exchange rate changes, when the dollar drops, the most I've ever paid on a monthly basis has been about $219 a month for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, and that's with the fluctuation. So when we're talking about taxes and the IRS, THEIRS, that spells theirs, is the largest collection agency in the world. And so if you're able to pay your taxes and what you have left, you're able to spend and have a lifestyle where you have a higher quality of living, it only makes sense, whether that's in Brazil, Mexico, Portugal, Spain, wherever it is. You know, you want to give yourself an opportunity where the income that you have or you gain is able to give you a higher quality of life. And I don't, and if that's in the U.S., you have the ability to move from state to state as well. That the state of California, the taxes in California are different than in Texas. This is why many people in California are moving to Texas, right? And the taxes in, let's say, the business development in a country like Utah or Wyoming is going to be very different than Nevada and Ohio. So people need to take a look at where they're most appreciated and where they can have the greatest impact in their life. And that could be in the U.S. and that could be somewhere else. So, but you have to make that decision for yourself. And having the taxes, paying taxes is either fortunate or unfortunate. That's part of it. When you're an expat, the idea of taxes is that you're paying for services that your country provides for you. If you live outside the United States, your taxes are going to be reduced. Why? Because you're not using those services in that country.
Would you say the countries that y'all moved to have freedom of speech or limited freedom of speech?
Not like Thailand.
Yeah, not that.
In Thailand, if you speak against the monarchs, you're going to jail
for 80 years.
Yeah.
But in Colombia and the DR, it's pretty much like the United States.
Yeah, pretty much. You have freedom of speech here in Colombia. You basically, you don't have freedom of speech against if you're speaking about someone who's in the underworld doing illegal activities, the drug gangs and the capos and stuff like that, because if you make it bad for them, they're going to make it bad for you. But it's not like if you're speaking out against the government and protesting that one day you just disappear. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. But hey, I got to go. It's been real. I have class to teach.
Okay.
And I'll check back in later on and see if you guys are still on after my class. But if not, hey, it was good to see you all again. I look forward to doing this sometime soon. Okay.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
Okay. Gracias. Nos vemos pronto. Cuídate, paz.
Ciao.
So the next question I have for you was, for example, everybody here is on YouTube, and if you wanted to, let's say, report something that was sensitive, would there be censorship? Kind of goes with freedom of speech, like I just said. Like, I had a video that I did about racism here in Brazil, and based off how they acted last time when I spoke about what I wanted to speak about, I was like, oh, I probably ought to private this because this would probably be worse. It would be perceived worse, and it probably wouldn't look so good. Do you have that same fear of, I guess, doing some sort of journalism or talking about the country you're in currently?
There are certain topics I won't talk about. I'm not going to talk about politics here, because again, it's the lay of the land. You don't know, right? And so for me, I want to be as low profile as I possibly can, and I want to live peacefully amongst all men and women wherever it is that I am. And so if I have views, they're private. I'm not going to necessarily make those things public because I don't necessarily want to be offensive, because again, you don't know who knows whom or who's connected to whom or what have you. And so that's something that you really have to be mindful of. And again, you mentioned the situation that you were going through, and that was unfortunate because you didn't do anything wrong. But in some places, you're innocent until you prove we're accustomed to you're innocent until proven guilty. But in other places, you're guilty until proven innocent. And so we just have to be aware of that.
I would agree. Los, did you have anything you want to add?
Nah, not really. Todd said it all.
Okay.
Not to that topic, yeah.
If the audience has any other questions they want to add in the meantime, you guys send a super chat. Kings and Dreams says, facts, the gems are being dropped. Thank you very much. Yes, I hope you guys are finding this educational. We're just comparing if we lose, what do we lose by traveling and becoming an expat in another country? Do we lose any of our freedoms that we have in the States, or do we even gain more in the meantime? So would you say that education, if you want to go to school or if you want to raise your children in school, would you say that the private school, Todd, that you have your child in is better than what you could have gotten in the States? For example, you know, they have the whole LGBT, everybody can be a donkey today if they want to. Are they teaching that in Colombia too?
No, they're not teaching that here. No, they're not. Reading, writing, mathematics, English. They're teaching basics, and they have homework. my son has homework every day, you know. And then they also have, you know, art. One thing that they don't have that they have in the States is athletic teams or sports teams for the schools. They don't have that, at least here where I am. They have community clubs, right? That have soccer teams or something from the community, or basketball teams, or skating or something like that. But in terms of just the level of the basic education, I would say that it is very, very high. They have uniforms. They wear uniforms to school. So it's none of this, well, you know, he's got to express his individuality. Well, you know, his individuality is he needs to wear a uniform, and it needs to be properly, you know, maintained. The hair has to be cut, can't be looking like a woolly mammoth or anything like that. So they have standards. And so the way that they address the teachers have parent-teacher conferences. The teachers are dressed in, they have scientific smocks that they have over their regular clothes. So they're very professional, almost like you know, the medical profession. So it is. I'm not saying that there are not school systems that do the same thing in the U.S., but this is the norm. Even for public schools, even the public schools have uniforms, right? And in different standards. So that's one of the things that surprised me, right? So if I'm looking at where my hometown and looking at the school system there, kids don't have books, and well, they can't bring books home. My son brings books home every day. He rides his bike to school with books. He comes home with books.
So do you have a say-so in what he's learning, or do they advise you of what courses, like exactly what he'll be learning every week if you wanted to know that?
Yeah, they have all the stuff online that my wife can go in at any time and see what's going on, see what his grades are, see what if he's not performing. I mean, they're very transparent with how the children are doing in school.
Okay. Which is good. I mean, you want to know if they're learning about their pronouns. So healthcare freedom. What is the main differences you notice between healthcare in the United States versus Colombia, where you're at now?
I actually can get doctors to come visit me at the house.
Mm-hmm. I remember you said that one.
Yeah, healthcare is way better here. I'm just going to go on the record and say that it's just better. I don't know what people think, because there's all the doctors and hospital offices and all of this stuff in America is all shiny, bright, but guess what? America has more malpractice suits than any other country in the world.
Fourth leading cause of death, United States, medical malpractice.
So, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand what people are talking about. Why is it? And if it's so bad, then why people are traveling out the country to come get their teeth done in other countries? Why people going to do all of these other procedures in other countries if America is so good, pricing and quality? Why? That should tell you right there.
Yeah. I mean, prescriptions $4.
Wow.
Let me for a family of three. Let me calculate this out. No, let me say that's the wrong currency. Family of three, top tier healthcare, $96 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And Colombia is ranked 30th in the world as far as healthcare. The United States is 70th.
So would you say that your social life has improved or stayed the same or gotten worse since you left the States?
Social life? You know, what defines social life?
For me, like, are you around more genuine people, or do you feel that people are they're warmer in Colombia and they actually want to socialize with each other versus the United States? We tend to have an isolated culture.
I would say, as a foreigner here, I don't trust very many people. They may befriend you because they think, well, they think that a lot of times people think that foreigners have a lot of money, and that's not necessarily true. But it's just like anywhere else. I mean, genuine people will reveal themselves, and so you really got to keep your head on the swivel. You can't trust everybody, because you hear stories. Someone from Venezuela, hey, can you help me because my mom is sick and they need medicine? Well, what do you need? Oh, I need $100. Okay. I hope you get.
Yeah. You just said a prescription was $4.
Right. But again, I mean, some people when they work, I think some like the BC taxis here, they have to pay a quota to work, right? So they work, they get their fares, and so they have to pay, let's say, 80,000 pesos a day in order to maintain their job. But a ride would cost maybe 1,500 pesos or 2,000 pesos. So when you think about it, you need 80,000 or really 80,000 pesos a day to be able to keep your job, but then you're only making 2,000 pesos a ride. You're going to need to do a lot of work, and so they're there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. trying to be able to make that quota. And if they make that quota, then sometimes they're only making 10,000 pesos a day to try to feed a family. So they're desperate, right? And so desperate people, when they see an opportunity, it's nothing personal. It's just business. So you have to keep your head on a swivel with that. You have to understand the culture. You have to understand what people are up against. And so then you have to really understand, well, why is this person wanting to befriend me? Why is this person talking to me? What's in it for them? And this is why, I really only associate with family or people that live directly by me, right? And so that's where I find my comfort. Someone outside of my family, I may be cordial, but we're not going to be tight like that. What's your experience, Learn Crypto?
Well, repeat the question again?
Do you have an improved social life or a social life that's similar to the United States, or has it improved?
Nah, it's my social life. I can say is improved, but for me, it's the improvement came when I cut people off. You know what I'm saying? I had to turn into a cutoff artist. You feel me? So, it's certain people that do certain things that I don't want to be a part of anymore. That I don't want around me. So anybody with any type of negative energy, I go the other way. You see what I'm saying? I'm the one kicking rocks. So in that regard, mine has improved. And then me coming to another country, I've made friends here and stuff. But that because of the language barrier, the communication barrier, it only allows me to go so far with them anyway. So, and then I'm a good judgment of character of people. And then I always watch what people do and not listen to what they say. So, when I see people doing certain things, that kind of leads me to let me know what type of person they is. And then I'll make the determination if I want to continue dealing with them or not. There's been a couple of situations back when I was living in Bogota. Some Americans came down and wanted to kick it with me. Los, you got all the, you could tell us this and taught how to this. Okay, I'll do it. And then when I see him acting a fool, I remember one distinct, I was like, all right, bro, I took him into one of the spots he was trying to go to. I was going to stand there with him and make sure he was safe or whatever. But, he was in there wilding, and I was like, yo, told him a quick lie. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, I got a little thing set up here, man. I got the bounce, man. You know what I'm saying? And I just slid on out of it. Brother ain't never seen me never again in life. You know what I'm saying? Because he was wilding, you know what I'm saying? And I see what type of situation, what type of time he was on. And I live here, bro. You going back to the States. You know what I'm saying? I don't need you messing up my zen. You know what I mean? I bring you into a spot to where, and then now you do something crazy. And then now they looking at me because I brought you there. Now I don't need none of that problem. So, that's how I kind of do stuff. And then when it's with a Colombian person, I'm definitely watching what they doing, because a lot of them, you know, where they'll befriend you for a while, you know, and then they'll steal from you. You know what I'm saying? Because my wife and I, we had back in 2021, we got a property out in the country. I don't talk about this to nobody like that, but we got a property out there in the country that we getting ready to offload and sell. But you know, we had a business running out of it too. And you know, we had hired a person that we thought we could trust, and fool was stealing money from us. You know what I'm saying? Right. But he's kind of, because he thought it was all me, you know what I mean? And it was really my wife, you know what I'm saying? And he was stealing the money, so we had to get rid of him. But it was family, you know what I mean? And so you don't never know what type of person, you know, because these Colombians, they got thieves in their family, you know, got killers, they got all of that, you know what I'm saying, in their family, you know, and they will take advantage of you if you're not, you know, on your P's and Q's behind any of that stuff. So that's how I rock. But that's just how I am generally anyway with anybody. So to answer the question, yes, minds have changed, but I've had to make some changes in order for it to change for the better.
Okay, so the last question I have for you guys, and then if you guys have any other input, you kind of touched on this earlier. Public safety in Colombia versus United States. Do you feel it's safer on a daily basis out and about, or is it better in the United States?
It's certainly better here in Colombia where I am. I told you earlier, I don't have to worry about looking over my shoulder in the grocery store, in the mall, at the park, or at the beach, or wherever. I don't have to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I ain't did nothing to nobody. Now, you know, you got the element of the guys jumping off the motos and all that stuff. But why would you be walking down the street by yourself in an area you don't got no business in? You know what I'm saying? You basically making yourself a sitting duck. You know what I'm saying? Why would you do that? I've done that here before. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, one of the situations, this was back in 2020, you know, I had the family had a family meeting soon as I walked right back in the door, you know, and they're crying and all this, talking about they don't want to have to call my mom to tell her, my parents to tell them something happened to me. You know, when that happened, I took that serious. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn from that. Yeah, I don't need to be going and by myself places or areas, and I don't, you know, just because I feel like I can get around or move around with the same mentality as I would in the United States. It don't work like that right here, man. Because during that walk, I'll tell you this specific instance, you know, I walked up on the corner, man, and there was 7 dudes standing on the corner. One of them had a bat in his hand. They was all watching me. They knew I was a gringo. They knew it, you know what I'm saying? But I had to keep my eye on them the entire time until I got far enough away. You know, I didn't run or nothing, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want them to think that I was scared. I wasn't scared, but I was certainly concerned. You know what I'm saying? Because the dude had a bat. They didn't know I had me a 3-inch, you know what I'm saying, in my pocket. But you know, I can't do a 3-inch ain't gonna take out 7 people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Superman. I might could take 1 or 2 of them at one time, or maybe 3, because these dudes little out here. But you know, 7, you know what I'm saying, and one got a bat. You know what I'm saying? All it takes is one swing upside my head and it's over. Yeah. So I had to think about that, man. You know, so in any given situation, especially if I'm in the area and I don't know nothing about, I'm gonna be with somebody that I know from here. You know what I mean? I'm not going to no place where I don't know. So those are the elements that I would avoid, which allows me to keep my safety in high tech. Now, if you walking around at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning in some zone where it's not a tourist zone, and you know, because that happened to me in Bogota too. I had my phone snatched from one of the taxis. Taxi snatched my phone driving. You know what I'm saying? And you know, took it, gone. You know, and I'm chasing the car like I'm about to catch the taxi. You know what I'm saying? I literally chased the car for 2 blocks. You know what I'm saying? And in some Timberlands. But that was another scenario that I had to learn from and say, you know what? Why the hell am I out at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, especially with my phone out in my hand, you know, close enough to where somebody can do something like that to me. So those 2 situations, I learned from them and didn't repeat that same mistake again. And I've been relatively safe since being in Colombia. Now, I don't play in the world. I don't play in that playground or that pig pen that everybody else playing, where we seeing dudes week on week, you know what I'm saying, coming up, you know, coming up, you know, with lifeless, you know what I'm saying? I don't play in that arena, man, because, you know, it's way too much risk in that arena. It ain't even just, you know, seeing what DC Rob be talking about on his channel and all the other brothers that be talking about that stuff on their channel. It ain't just that, man. It's more that go to that. So, you know, and that's kind of what I do to try to offset any, you know, situations from happening to me.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to move different. But the one thing I would say that is different, at least in my mindset, is that if something petty crimes such as, you know, snatching your cell phone and all that kind of stuff, yeah, a lot of that stuff happens, especially in Bogota, if you know, pickpockets and all that kind of stuff, if you're not careful. But there's a lower probability of you being deleted here than if you're some other place, right? And as Learn Crypto said, I mean, a lot of times these guys here are small, so if you have a presence about you and you have your head on a swivel and you don't look like a mark, you're not going to be an easy prey for them. If they realize it's going to be a little bit more difficult, they're going to leave you alone. As far as the police are concerned, I've absolutely never had an issue. One person stopped me, hey, you know, can I see your cedula? And then I showed him, you're an expat. Go ahead. You know, because they realize that when you have travelers that come to the country, that's additional revenue that comes into the country. They want to protect that as much as they can. They want to protect the income that's coming from other places into their country as much as they can, because it creates jobs for them. And so that is a selling point. Unlike other places where you see people coming from other countries, or you're accustomed to other people coming from other countries, they don't necessarily get the respect that they deserve.
That cedula got some power on it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you break out these. I got two. I know. Hey, they got some power, man. You break these out in front of the people.
Yeah,
and they gonna back up off you, man. The police and all, because they know that you did stuff the right way.
The right way. Yeah. You know, I made a mistake one time. I had an attorney that when I got my first visa, I had an attorney that did not notify me that it had to be renewed at a certain particular time. So I was like 9 days late having renewed my visa. And there was a whole legal process that I had to go through. I mean, it was, you know, through immigration and the whole nine. I mean, it was crazy. And so when you talk about immigration laws, or when you talk about laws in general, here you have to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, and you got to have your correct paperwork. If you don't have your correct paperwork, they will feed you to the lions unless you know somebody. So I respect that aspect of it. But again, as far as my overall feeling, I feel safer here. I feel more at home here than I do in other places. I really do. Fearless, what's up, man?
What's going on,
guys? So today I get to be someone else. I'm going to dissent. Not because I don't agree with what you guys are saying. I just think sometimes when you sing to the choir, we don't get to see a different perspective. So please understand that I am with you, but I want to challenge you on some things so that we just get a whole different perspective. Learn Crypto. One, if you ain't making over 100K, you got to come see me, bro. I sent my information to Austin. He can tell you that. Well, I'll let him say, am I making over 100K, Austin?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just saw.
Maybe closer to 200. So that is possible if you are in IT. A few things I want to challenge you on. I know we're talking about the freedom, and sometimes we talk about personal freedom. But how do you guys feel about like the governmental regulations that help us? I'll give you some examples. I know when I had gone to Dominican Republic, and the wife sent me around the corner to get some chicken. I swear the guy just went and grabbed some chicken from somewhere and just like threw it on the counter and chopped it up. And it was, to me, I was like, this seems kind of crazy. Or you see the meat that's hanging up and the flies that are around, things like that. So do you think that because we have a USDA and certain regulatory things that it helps us? Also, like when it comes to barber.
I was just about to bring that up.
You had to go get your barber's license, and they teach you, hey, here's how you clean your blades. Don't use these blades, so you can make sure you don't get certain skin infections. And in other countries, it's just like, hey, you got some clippers, you can cut some hair. And that, so we don't have the protections, in my opinion, in other countries. I had just gone, I regularly don't get fast food, but I had gone and got me some fast food the other day. And I remember looking in the store, and they had a sign that the health inspector had come in, and they gave them a grade. They said, you know, they're at 92 and things like that. I don't see that in other countries. So it's great that you can open up your own restaurant or open up your own business. But the fact is, who's regulating that? Who knows that those people are washing their hands and they're not spreading certain diseases? Also, when we talk about alcohol, it's great that there's an alcohol place on every corner. But I know in DR, you can send your 10-year-old down to grab you a Presidente. Nobody cares. So do you feel that those regulations, I know that they're stringent, but do you think that they help us if you are in the United States?
I say I just got a haircut today, man, and they don't clean their clippers in Brazil. Every other country I've been to, they will clean their clippers. In Colombia, they did. I was in Cartagena and Cali, and I got haircuts there. They clean their clippers. Every time here in Brazil, that's why I cut my own hair, but I didn't feel like doing it today. This dude literally had a clipper with the blades full of some old white guy's hair because it was all gray straight hair. And he didn't even brush it. I was like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you got to be doing this because I'm a gringo. Like, I don't see anybody in their right mind just like, let me just put this. My hair is black, so it's going to show that somebody, you just stuck a whole head full of hair. Because it was a lot of hair, man. It was a lot of hair. And he just put it on my head. And I was like, no fucking way you about to do that. So
well, in Colombia, they take the grooming seriously here. You know what I'm saying? Men and women. So you're not going to never run into nothing like they in the peluquerias, barberia, all of that. They going to be clean. You know what I'm saying? Okay, where you go. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that type of thing you don't have to worry about. As far as making it better in the United States for the red tape, my opinion is that it's just a money grab, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. You had a regulation, you know, but we all know what alcohol does to people. We know that. That's across the board around the world. You know what I'm saying? Whether you can send a 10-year-old to get it or you have to be 21 to go get it. You know what I'm saying? It won't make no difference on what happens when you consume it. You know what I'm saying? The difference here is I see that these kids that's going to the corner store to get it for their parents, they ain't taking no sips out of it unless their parents let them do it. You know what I'm saying? You know, so to me, it's about the money in America. That's what it's about.
Yeah. When you talk about the USDA, they allow certain things here. They don't allow certain chemicals or certain foods. There's certain foods that are not allowed to be consumed here in the U.S. or in Colombia or South America that are allowed to be consumed there in North America. When the food inspectors, it's interesting that you said that. I was just at one of the local restaurants here in the neighborhood, and the food inspector was there all day long, checking everything. And so yeah, they take that stuff seriously. When you're talking about the bodegas on the street or the street vendors, right? When they got the carts and things like that, if it's not right, people aren't going to buy it, right? If they're not cleaning it, and if they're not hygienically appropriate, they're not going to be able to sell those things. And so I think that there's a lot more self-regulation that I've seen as opposed to government agencies. And I'm a limited government guy, right? I'm about, the consumers will tell you whether or not something is good or something is bad. Don't necessarily need a lot of overstep or over-regulation to determine what is good for me and my health. Because again, if you're talking about food, natural foods here, every piece of fruit that I buy here has seeds. Ain't no seedless grape. I don't even know what a seedless grape technically is, right? The watermelons have seeds. The mango have seeds. The avocados are incredible, right? Healthier food. The food that I eat here in South America is much more healthy. When I go back to the States, I get inflamed, right? High sodium and everything else. I'm all puffy. When I come back here, I feel better. I'm healthier. My blood pressure is more regulated. So, yes, I understand that by having government regulations are for people that don't know how to take care of themselves. They need somebody else to tell them what they need to do. That's just my view on that.
But what about, I'll give you some examples. People, especially women, they're going out to DR, Colombia, Brazil to get the BBLs. Some of them are going to places that I don't say those people really have the greatest medical license, or, they just opened up something and they said they can. And because of that, nobody's regulating it and they're perishing. Also, I do understand that it's great to get drugs out of the country. You know, done it many times. My wife's mother brings a whole Chester drawer of things because it's cheaper. But one thing I didn't realize that 90% of the drugs that are approved are actually in the United States. They're tested outside before they get approved at FDA. So the outside world becomes the guinea pigs before they bring it to the United States. Do you agree with that? Meaning you can be getting cheap drugs, but it may be not regulated.
Well, I know this. You can walk up in any pharmacy here in Columbia, in any city in Columbia, and go get you a little 10-pack of penicillin. You need a prescription in America to get penicillin. Why is that? If people outside the America is guinea pigs, you know what I'm saying? I'm just using what you're saying. If they're guinea pigs, then why is it that way with just penicillin? We all know what penicillin is. Amoxicillin. If y'all didn't know, let me tell you. You can go to your local pet store and go to the fish section because they use amoxicillin to clean the fish tanks. Amoxicillin is nothing more than penicillin. So you can go get it in America without a prescription. You just got to know how to do it. You know what I'm saying? But my point is why is it that they make it at a doctor's office where you have to go get a prescription from a doctor to get this particular drug, but anywhere else in the world, you can just go right up and go get it just like some Tylenol. Why? Yeah,
I can get a if I want a B12 shot in a half hour from the drugstore, all I got to do is just go and they'll give me a B12 shot right there. The one drug that they talked about when there was the C19 was going. There was a drug that they said that, oh, you take that's for horses. You can't have that. You can get that at the drugstore here. And now it's been proven to say, hey, well, you know what? It does have efficacy. It does, in fact, would have, helped a lot of people get through that particular trauma that they were experiencing had they had access to it. It was always available here and still is. So
for me, again, it goes right back to the regulation of the money grab. They want to control you in the United States. All of the drugs that you can get for for health purposes that actually does something, you can get all of that stuff with basically no prescription in other countries. But why? That's my main question. Why is it that they have to regulate that so much, but everywhere else they don't? Why?
I've helped people get some things, so I can't go on that. I'm just here to try to challenge your idea.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm throwing it right back in your court because for me, what I'm saying, that's what I'm sure it don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna guinea pig everybody else, but then you're gonna regulate it coming to the America just so the FDA so you can say the FDA said it was okay. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man. You know what I mean? Because before I came outside the country and knew that you can even get amoxicillin that way, I always thought that you have to have a prescription no matter where you go. As a matter of fact, the first time I tried it, you know what I'm saying? I said, you don't need no prescription. You just go and walk right on up in there. I say, this is what I want. How many you want? That was the next question.
Yeah. I've been in DR where people have had some surgeries and they've gotten medication and it wasn't a limit on how much
those Z packs. Yeah. That a lot of these brothers need when they go traveling to Medellin or wherever they playing in the playpen at. You know what I'm saying? Z-Packs. You don't need no prescription for that here. You need it in America.
But another thing is, I know that Colombia is different because when I see them on their motorcycles, they have the helmet and it has to have their license there. But when I've gone to DR, I've gone to, I can't remember if it was the same in Brazil, but I know like in Mexico, it's like, especially in DR, I wanted to talk to the gentleman who was up in Puerto Plata because the further you go north, it's just motorcycles. And it's most of the people who don't have license. They never went and got a license. They don't have insurance. They got the motor conchos. And it's just, it's the Wild West when you drive. The lines in the street are just there for decoration. They mean nothing. Red lights don't really mean anything. I think it's a little more regulated in Colombia, but places other than that. No. So do you think that that's good that we have those things because it protects the consumer? And on the opposite end of what you were saying, if I was a person who owned an apartment, do you think it's unfair that somebody can stay in my apartment rent free for 8 months and I don't have the wherewithal to get them out the legal way? So do you think those regulations help the consumer, but also may help you as a business owner when it comes to, making your money?
Well, I mean, it may seem like it's unfair. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as the business owner, it's particularly talking about the real estate thing and
Mhm.
putting people out. But, you know, yeah. See, let's rewind it back a few years to this Timothy Wright situation. Had he known what the situation was in Barranquilla when he made that purchase of that building out there, had he known every single solitary thing before he made a purchase, maybe he would still, you know what I'm saying, be walking around today. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because, you know, he just didn't do enough. He just didn't do enough research. Why the laws are the way that they are? That's anybody's guess. You know what I'm saying? That's not from the country. You know what I mean? You can probably ask the country, the people from this particular country, why is it that way? They probably wouldn't be able to tell you. All they know is that if they don't own it and they're a consumer, it helps them and they don't care. You know what I'm saying? That would be what I would think that they would do. Now let's flip it to the United States. Is it advantageous for the landlord versus do you think that the renter would prefer to want to be in the situation the way that the consumer here in Colombia is? Yes. Why? Because you got squatters all in every city in America. Even they got the people that's coming from crossing the
In the
borders
States,
talking
yeah.
about squatting. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you don't think that the consumer in America don't want it that way too. It's just the laws are not set up that way for America for the to be advantageous for the consumer as opposed to the person who is the business owner in a real estate situation.
One thing I will greatly agree with you on when we talk about, I'll just go with this, like prostitution. Someone asked me, why isn't prostitution legal in the United States? I was like, because they ain't found a way to tax it. I was like, once they find a way to tax it and they can make money off of it, believe me, like in Las Vegas, they'll have a brothel and you can do it. But I think that's a freedom which seems strange to me. If I take a girl out and I pay for dinner, I can get it. But if I say, hey, let's just skip dinner and I just give you the money, then now it's illegal. So one, you know, me buying dinner and having a good time is legal. Me just giving her the money to have a good time is illegal. So
Well, we know a lot of brothers breaking that law minute by minute. You know what I'm saying? In America.
I'm gonna answer that by posing a joke. What do you call a boomerang that does not come back?
I have no idea.
A stick. So it becomes a matter of perspective, right? So are you throwing a boomerang or are you throwing a stick?
correct.
And so that, you know, so that kind of coincides with what Learn Crypto was talking about. I mean, again, I think it all comes down to what a person is into and what kind of lifestyle that they want to live,
Mhm.
right? Certainly, United States has certain laws that say that you can't do certain things, and there's a lot of states which are now debating whether or not marijuana should become legal. Well, you know, if you go other places in the world, that's not an issue, right? You just have to know that there are certain places or certain locations that you can't go and act a fool thinking that this is what you're going to do. You know, you have to go to some certain places and realize that there are some neighborhoods that have a godfather and that you got to pay deference to the godfather when you enter it. It's just common sense, right? You give deference to whom deference is due, and you live a low profile. If you want to come down, and there was a concept called the ugly American. If you want to come and be the ugly American, just realize that there's going to be some consequences.
Yes.
You know, but you know, I just don't. Most people that I've come into this space in terms of the travel space, most of the people that I've associated with, that's not the issue. They come to look for different kinds of opportunities and different ways of life. That's not to say that there are some of those people that want to go and play in those certain areas. Those aren't people that I basically have associated with. And that's not, you know, I'm not saying that they're bad people or whatever. I mean, I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but you know, I'm only going to be associated with people that add value to my quality of life that I'm looking for, as opposed to not. And as you know, Learn Crypto said, people that have positive energy as opposed to those that don't. As far as the squatters are concerned, I think when you talk about real estate investing, that's a very North American concept or idea in terms of how to generate wealth. I think that there are other countries where, yes, people want to live comfortably, but they're more family oriented and want to make sure that all of their basic needs are taken care of and they're with their family, as opposed to, hey, I want to be a millionaire. I want to make $160,000 a month or $500,000 a month. There's nothing wrong with that if people want to do that, but just understand that is a very North American ideology. And I don't say capitalism because capitalism from an economic term just simply means change. That is a way in which it's not capitalism. That's basically how to generate income. And they basically, in that sense, want to identify themselves with how much money they make. And then that gives them more of being a man or being a woman or being successful or whatever. But I think other countries, they measure success differently. And that's what I've come up against.
A question for you guys. I know that you're married and you have the local women. If you did not have someone local, would you still like buy property or purchase land? Or do you think that you can kind of get caught up if you didn't have someone in your corner for your best interest?
I would. How I move around. You know, I mean, I brought my mentality of how I grew up is can be transferred in any society, in any situation, in any country. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily need a female or, you know, a better half in order for me to be able to accomplish what it is that I'm looking to accomplish. You know, it's a lot of stuff that I did on my own here that my wife thought she needed to help me with, and she's surprised that I did it on my own. You know what I'm saying? You know why? Because I know how to get stuff done. I don't necessarily. All I need to do is learn how to read the language. That's it. Because once I learn, during the time when I was doing that stuff, once I learned that, shoot, I can figure out everything else. I'm smart enough to do that, so I don't need your help. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to purchases, I do know that it will be much more advantageous or helpful for me to deal with somebody that's already local in the area, so I can get the best price or the best scenario for me in that. Because I don't want to pay the full price. I want to pay what they pay. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it.
Correct. No, I do understand that.
Fearless, you got somebody asking you a question through a super chat. Good convo, gents. I'm retiring from the military this year, planning on getting into IT. What are some certifications I might not be thinking about?
A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. Those are the foundational level certifications that you can get as a beginner into the IT space. That's why I would tell everybody to start, because, you know, in that you'll have 3 different lanes to choose from, and in all 3 of those lanes there are multiple lanes that you can go down the path. So like for security, you can do cloud security, you can do network security, you can in networking, you can do network technician, you can be a network engineer with hardware, you can just work specifically with breaking down computers and fixing them back up, building them up. So, you know, you just got to start on the foundational level, and then you find your niche from there. That's what I would say.
I'll go a little further. And when I do my consultations, I always ask people what their age is and what their salary is, for 2 reasons. If you were trying to get into cybersecurity at an older age and you don't have money, it's going to be difficult, because some of the certs that when a HR person looks at, what we do is automatically scan your resume, and they're looking for specific things. So if you have 1,000 resumes, they don't look at it. They scan it, and if it doesn't have certain certs, those automatically get thrown out. So I think yesterday we were talking about like certified ethical hacking or CISSP. I recommend somebody go to a boot camp. A boot camp for CISSP is $5,000. So a lot of people don't have that type of money. If you're just looking for a cert that you can do cheaply, then I would go into the cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP. You can start off with those, and you can be at about 6 figures doing those. So those are some great entry levels. It just matters if you want to go into security. Security is going to take a little bit longer, in my opinion, because there's drastically many things that security you can do. And a lot of times they want to make sure you have a lot of experience. But now you got the cloud. Now you can do, I think AI is really coming up. And there's not a lot of people that are doing AI. So any of those things that you can do in that aspect are really high paying. Database, a database analyst, any of those items, because in the United States, information is power. You know,
data is the new oil. That's exactly what we say in crypto. Exactly. Data is the new oil.
And I try to explain to people, the reason Google and everything is free isn't because it's free. They just get to calculate everything you do, your next moves, your buying power. When I go to Kroger's and I scan my Kroger card, it's able to see, how am I buying? What is my age group? What is my spending habits? You know, so someone in my demographics, how are they spending money? and they cater all that information to you. So like the gentleman said, that data is like gold.
Well, you know, if y'all been paying attention to my sign right there, I gave you one, and that particular project is a artificial intelligence project. It's a crypto project, Hypercycle, and it will pay you for life. You know what I'm saying? But y'all gotta go look it up. I'm not finna give you everything right here because it's too much. Hypercycle AI, just go look it up. It's crypto project. That's why I only highlighted that one. You know, and what Fearless was just talking about, it encompasses all of that, everything he just said. Okay, so and like I said, this here, if you can invest and get your position in this particular project, you don't need no other projects. Like you don't have to invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum or none of that stuff, because this right here on Trust and Know, because you know about nodes, Fearless, right? I'm sure you do. You know what I'm saying? This is what this project is. You know what I'm saying? It's about nodes, and if you know anything about crypto, you know that's where you want to be at, because that's where the money gonna be. You know what I'm saying? In operating nodes, or you can sell them. You know what I'm saying? For a high price. You know,
can you put that super chat back up? I want to speak to that gentleman one more time just on this. Joseph Washington. I'm going to say this, and I say it to everyone. When people come to me for a consultation, I let them know this. I can take you to the water. I can lead you to water, but I can't make you drink. The sad thing is, even the people that I've taught, that I've gone through, I've given them the script of, hey, if you just study this, you do 1 hour a day, in 2 months or 3 months, we can have you certified. You can do this. None of them do it, man. It's sad that we as people don't find a time that we can change our lives, and we don't invest in ourselves. It's out there. The information is out there. You can do it. You can learn anything. You can, if you know, I remember that I was in Colombia, and I remember this chick I knew, a friend, asking for money. I said, you know what? I won't give you no money, but here's what I will do. This is when I was just trying to start YouTube. I said, I'll teach you how to like edit my videos, because I don't want to have the time to do it. If you learn it, if you can learn that in 3 months by me giving you all the tools, everything you need, you can just go on YouTube and find those things out. In 3 months, you won't need me. Even though I'll give you some more videos, you can go out on your own. Nobody does it. I'm willing to pay them and give them the tools that I'm willing to pay them for my videos, give them the tools that they need free to edit the videos, and they can do it for me and everyone else, and wouldn't do it because a lot of people just don't take that initiative
at all.
So Joseph, I say it's not that, and a lot of that, and I'll go back to one example, and I'm sorry. I used to date this chick. She was in Cleveland. I remember she was a pharmacist. She was beautiful as hell, but she wasn't the sharpest tool in the box. Just wasn't smart. But she was a pharmacist. And what she said, because I was questioning, and this is back in the 90s. In the 90s, she was a traveling pharmacist making $45, $50 an hour. The one thing she said was she was just consistent. I said, how did you do it? She said, I wasn't smart. She said, but here's the thing. If I pass pharmacy school, and then I pass the boards, all I got to do is pass with a 70. Nobody knows if I pass with a 90 or a 70, because I still get the certificate that says State Board of Pharmacy. That's it. And she said, all I did was keep showing up. There were people who were smarter than her, that could learn faster than her, that could retain the information, but they were lackadaisical in it. And because of that, they would flunk out, or they put some other priority. She said, I think, Todd, you talked about this before. She was poor. She didn't have no money. She burnt her ships down. And she said, I have to do this because I got to get out of this situation. So Joseph, no matter what, man, consistency, whether you're going to the gym, whether you learn it, that is what's going to separate you from everyone. And I can't remember the quote, but what is it? Something over talent. What is it? Somebody help me out.
I would, but I don't know the quote.
Oh man, let me see. What is it? I know somebody knows. Over talent. I'm trying to.
Is it hard work over talent?
Yes, that's it. Hard work over talent will get you everywhere. So you can be talented and you can think you know something, but that hard work, that daily grind, that Kobe Bryant waking up in the morning and getting there, that's what makes you successful. Be consistent, brother.
And people, I can agree with that. Just, you know what I'm saying? Because on my channel, I try to provide as much value as possible. Listen, I got a free ebook to teach people that don't know the first thing about crypto. Free. All they got to do is email me to get it. That's it. You know, people, and I do it. They don't email, they don't ask, but then they'll want me to drop it in their lap and just But see, now this is where I'm at now. I'll tell you, you don't ask, but the moment I get, well, I'm almost there because the bull run getting ready to start. Soon as it starts and everybody want to jump into crypto and they're gonna call me, I'm gonna charge you. And I might overcharge you just because you could have got this, you know what I'm saying, for free. And I'm telling everybody this right now. You know what I'm saying? You literally got about 4 months. You can still get me, you know what I'm saying? You know, if you want a private consultation, there's a charge to that because that's my time. But you can get a free ebook where you can learn the foundation stuff, like he was just telling Joseph here, because you can go online right now and go look at Professor Messer, and he got a class going every week, you know what I'm saying, teaching something in IT every week for free. You know what I'm saying? People won't do it. They won't do it. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. You know, people that I didn't put it on a platter for you just to give it to you, and you still won't take it. But that ain't none of my fault, because that's your effort.
But you know what? The sad thing is, if you charge $500 for that, they'd be like, "Oh man, it must be worth it." They'll pay the $500 over getting it free from you, which is asinine.
And I think that you know, Mr. Washington, he has the tools, because, you know, being in the military, you have to have that discipline, right? You got to show up every day, right? And that military training is that bodes well when most people who are successful in business world and become CEOs have prior experience in the military because of that thing. So, and I would think that if a person is in IT, they would salivate if they knew that somebody had prior military background and was coming into IT.
Oh man, because especially I know that there's guys that are in DC area and they have a clearance. So those clearances, oh man,
golden.
I couldn't.
That SF-86 was gonna mess me up, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, you know, I know about it. Trust me, I'm a civilian trying to go in that lane. I started this journey in IT back in 2014, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, me personally, what you were saying, I hover right the way where I'm comfortable. You know what I mean?
Oh no, that's fine.
In the company where I work now, they got a security department. That's ultimately where I wanted to end up anyway. I just told the people I'm just gonna master the position that I'm in right now, and then I work towards getting to that later. You know what I'm saying? And I told them I got a 36-month commitment with you guys. I could be lying, but you know what I'm saying, because crypto can relinquish that immediately. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's what it is. So, but the mind frame, it's the mind frame that you have to have in order to be able to, you know, see that. So you got to know where you are, what you're willing to do, what you're capable of doing, and then, you know, set them goals and then constantly chump at the bit until you get knock them goals down at the way. That's all I did, man. I had a 12-year teaching, 12-year educator, and I changed careers and went to, so it could be done.
Yes,
it definitely can be done. But like he just was telling you, Fearless was just telling you, you got to put the effort in. If you don't put the effort in, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna happen. The stuff that you looking at on the screen is not gonna do it for you. You know what I mean? You have to literally put in this effort. Because I see a lot of dudes be talking about, I want to do IT, and they looking at it from the standpoint because it can give them a little bit of freedom for them to be able to move up out of the situation they in. I get it. I get it. But bruh, the IT, this computer stuff, you know what I'm saying? This ain't no walk in the park. It ain't nothing easy. It ain't no lightweight. You really got to put the work in. You have to.
And two things. I went into IT for the freedom. I just had an evaluation with my manager, and there was like a promotion, and I was like, I don't want it, because what that means is now y'all got more of my time, and I didn't go in it. I went in it because I wanted my time. But also this, Joseph, it's not a one-time thing. It's not like, oh, I got this cert and that's it. In IT, you will always have to continually learn because something new is coming out. Something is changing. You have to adapt. So don't think I've done it one time and I'm finished. In order to stay on the game, you have to adapt and continually be able to learn and do that.
Yep, true.
So we got another super chat from Joseph. He says, agree 1000% Fearless. you have to put in the work. I have my A+, Net Plus, and SEC Plus through a boot camp. I really appreciate the knowledge game and kind words. Will, look in your consulting as well. Thanks. So we got about 10 more minutes. We're going to wrap it up. If anybody has any more questions for the guests, I appreciate everybody coming on today and having this conversation. I think I've only cursed one time this entire stream. 2 hours and 19 minutes, one curse word. That's a record.
Intellectual property.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Got to stop talking about women. Women bring curse words.
Whew.
Man.
Hey man, listen, that should be the last thing anybody should be thinking about when trying to move abroad, man. You know what I mean? Ain't no woman finna. First of all, if you're a real man, like the men that you see on this panel, if you're a real man, you're gonna be able to get a woman. Okay, so you can put that on the back burner. It's like the cherry on top. You know what I'm saying? When I came, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I came down here for the first time, I pre-gamed and I just kind of got lucky. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, but when I went back to the United States and I saw that I can make my situation better than what it was, I started putting stuff in order. Yeah. For me to get a work visa, I can't use my wife. You know what I'm saying? I had to do all of that. You know what I mean? She can't get me to go get that certificate I needed to be able to teach abroad English. You know what I'm saying? She couldn't do that. She didn't know that I had to go through the well, she probably knew, but she couldn't help me go through what I had to go through with my paperwork for that work visa for that company. You know what I'm saying? All of those types of things. She didn't look for we didn't even live in the same city. You know what I'm saying? When I first moved here, I moved to Bogota and lived in Bogota for 2 years, right? So I had to go there and live there and figure out how I was gonna live and what I was gonna do to live there first. You understand what I'm saying? So that's you have to have your priorities in order first before you know what I mean, start talking about that aspect of life.
Agreed. Let's see if anybody else has any other questions. What do you guys think about the rise of AI? Will it make most jobs obsolete by 2070 or 80?
A lot of jobs will be obsolete. Just because, I use it in some things. I don't know if I'm doing a JSON code and I'm getting errors, I put it in ChatGPT and it'll spit out the right answer. So there are a lot of jobs that will be affected by AI. So here's the thing. Whether there's two choices you have. You can have your job affected by AI, or you can be the man who's creating the AI.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is going to make a lot of money and somebody going to be out of a job. So if you see these trends coming, get in those trends. I wish instead of me buying when I was young, my first iPhone, I think it was the MP3, whatever they had, iPad, what is it called? iPod. I wish I'd have just took that money and said, you know what, I'm going to invest in Apple or learn what Apple does. Entirely different. Instead of being a consumer, you make a lot more money. So you see that trend. If you think it's going to start, why don't you be a part of that trend?
It was the American Buggy Whip Company was a 100-year-old company when it went out of business, right? And so why did the American Buggy Whip Company, which was a 100-year-old company, it was a stable company, it was a good company for a long period of time, it went out of business. Why? Because of the automobile, right? When's the last time you guys bought a vinyl record? Right?
Are they selling them now? But it's called a vintage.
A vintage, okay, vintage. Yeah. So it's like the difference between studying by candlelight and using electricity. Mm-hmm. Technology, the greatest invention of all time was electricity. Why? Because we keep using it, and everything is dependent upon that. So when you talk about AI, it's the new electricity, in my view, because everybody's using it now, whether you like it or not. Credit bureaus are using it. As Fearless said, when you go and you swipe your Kroger card, they're using AI or data entry to basically capture all that information and then running the statistics on that. They don't have people in the back room with a pad and pencil calculating all that stuff. That's all done electronically. And artificial intelligence simply means it's a database usage. And so you really got to be able to do that. If you're a prompt engineer for AI, I think they're making anywhere between 150,000 and 300,000. Am I correct, or am I being far-fetched?
What is it for AI? Oh,
prompt engineer. Yeah.
Yeah, they're up there. I think starting salary may be in the 150s, 160s.
Okay. So the idea is it changing the idea of work? Absolutely. Is it replacing jobs? Well, I mean, if you go to certain ports now, all that is being run by machines, that they don't have, operators or human beings walking around those docks like they used to. And a lot of that AI is actually doing that. So again, it's a matter of if you can program it or if you can learn how to service it. It's creating jobs in that regard, but it's also eliminating the lower wage jobs or the high the jobs that require more physical labor, but they're
Right.
creating jobs that require more intellectual labor.
Right. That's what I tell everybody, you know what I mean? When they ask me a question about it, listen, if you don't have the mental aptitude, well, it's only two things you're gonna be able to do with this AI thing. You're gonna have to invest in the into the shucks, man, why the word on the tip of my tongue? You're gonna have to invest into the AI to be able to help you into the technology in order for you to be able to benefit from it, or you're going to have to learn how to work and fix it, because they're definitely going to need people to work it and control it or fix it or troubleshoot it, whatever the case may be. If you can't do any of those two things, then you pretty much going to be a slave to the system.
I think the person's giving it way too much time. They said 2070 and 2080.
Oh, nah, man, ain't no 2070 and 2080. That person there is thinking crazy. I don't know what they talking about. We talking about 3 years from now, man. Come on, man. You got robots in here. You got robots in restaurants cooking right now. You know what I'm saying? Hell, when you call most of these customer service lines, you talking to AI right there. What are you talking about? 70 years? Come on, man. Y'all talking crazy, man. That don't even make sense, man.
Let me tell you how fast technology changes. I listened to some old school hip hop. Now, I was playing this and somebody questioned me. This is Tupac. Because they sweat a brother majorly. And I don't know why your girl keeps paging me. And somebody like, page me? What's a pager? And I'm thinking, goodness, am I that old? They don't even know what a pager is anymore. And that's how fast it was. In my lifetime, we went from look, I went from a rotary.
Yeah, I remember.
This is how you had to dial.
We all remember that.
Yep.
Well,
You going from that to a pager to a cell phone to your phone. Ain't even a phone is a computer. They said your phone now has more gigabytes than what they used to send the space shuttle to the moon, the rocket to the moon.
It's crazy.
On your phone. So technology, like he said, ain't no 2070. This is right around the corner.
Right. So a lot of these guys didn't watch BMF. You know what I mean? The Black Mafia Family on Stars, right? You remember when Big Meech pulling out them big old cell phones? That was in 1989, 1990, fam. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the years when y'all was born, 34 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like pages, boop, boop. They got the pagers. That's what he talking about. Look at BMF. When they checking the phone, who hit you up? That's a pager. Well, we called it a beeper. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Got them on. Everybody had them beep, 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 beep. Hip. Listen. Texting, that's where that started with beepers. You remember you text 911 or you could say I love you upside down with the letters and all that. I'm only 44. You know what I'm saying? I'm 44 years old and I remember all of that. So these people think texting was just invented in 2000. No, it was invented with the beepers. You just had to do it a different way. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing with technology is that it's been around for a while. It just hasn't been it hasn't been consumerized. That's all. This stuff ain't new. This stuff. I mean, when you talk about from a military perspective, when they talked about the flying wing, right? That was back in the 60s and 70s. And now what do we call it? The B-1 bomber. Right? Exactly. I mean, or stealth technology. All this stuff has been around for a long period of time. It just has not been consumerized. And it's, the next generation of AI, we just had 4.0 that come out, right? I can say something in Spanish. I can say something in English to 4.0 and have it translated to any language that I want.
Oh man, they even got the thing to where the earpiece. Well, you could put it in your ear, and the other person put it in their ear. You can speak your language, and they can have it set for them to receive it in the language that and you can have that conversation right there, just like normal with earpieces. Come on, man! In a minute, they're gonna have a tongue phone, and you just talk like that. I'm just joking.
Yeah. No, but think about it. When you guys watched I was back in the Star Trek days. They like, oh, let me put the translator on.
Right.
Yeah, that's basically what that is. When y'all see these things, somebody is thinking about it. Somebody is going to make it. Somebody's going to do it. And
the automatic door.
Yeah. You remember the Jetsons? Yeah. Y'all remember the Jetsons? The cartoon, the Jetsons? Mm-hmm. They had cell phones on there. Basically, not cell phones, but what we doing right now, talking virtually. You know what I'm saying? It's basically Sprockets and you know what I'm saying? And I forget the main character. You know what I'm saying? They talking just like we doing on FaceTime, and they was doing that in a cartoon in the late 80s and early 90s. Come on, man. If basically what I'm saying is, if you see it on TV, they pretty much got it. They didn't did it already. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
I got to roll, gents.
Okay. Yeah, I got to go too.
Yeah, I think he's going to be out too.
All right.
I appreciate everybody coming in. Make sure you guys go subscribe to everybody's YouTube channel at Learn Crypto TV and Fearless_360 and Infinite Growth TV. And I will see you guys next time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Austin. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys, man. It's nice talking to you.
All right, man.
All right.